Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of SchmoeTalks. That is right, we are back once again. My name is Aaron Knoll. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in as we continue our flashback series, looking down memory lane of the Schmoedown. And the last couple of weeks, we have gotten into Season 5 of the Schmoedown. Really, probably the big transitional season, kind of changing from the old guard to the new guard, as we've talked about. And I'm excited. I'm joined by some people who have been on the previous episodes with me to talk about it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Joining me first, he is one of the recurring co-hosts of the Supernova Show here on TMG Entertainment. He is Mr. Robert Castner. Welcome back to the show, man.
Guess who's back? Back again. And I even dressed up for the occasion.
Very classy, very classy. The best I get is my regular wear. So, but yeah, thank you back. Thank you again, man. Back for the second week in a row. Had to finish off this season 5 talk, so I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate coming back to back. I think that means people like me. Somebody likes me, so that's something that's good.
I don't know. These are pre-recorded. For all I know, they hate you, and I just keep messing up.
Yes, good. We'll feel the hate.
Absolutely. I'll drop you to the back for 1 second. And then joining me as well, he made his first appearance a couple of weeks ago for the start of season 5, and now he's back to finish it off. Mr. Andy Sweet. How's it going, man?
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to finish out this exciting season. It's a good one, so I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely, man. Happy to have you. And also joining us on the show, I've been very lucky for the short time the show's been around to have already had some Schmoedown competitors on, but easily this is the biggest stature competitor I've had on the show since we've started. And just like season 5 got corrupted, this show is also getting corrupted. I'm joined by the one, the only, the Cobra, Chance Ellison. How's it going, man?
It's good, man. It's really good. Happy to be here.
Thank you, man. Glad to have you. Glad to have you back on TMG. It's been a long time. For those of you who are old enough, we used to do these things called movie debates, and Chance was one of them.
It was,
so,
yeah.
Happy to have you back, man. That was so long ago, we don't do that anymore because I wish I had a better reason, but we just don't. So
fair enough.
So let's go ahead, guys. So if you've been watching the series, you guys know exactly how this works. We are going to go through the back end of season 5, focusing on a majority of the tournaments. We have the Spectacular. But first, before we get there, we had season 5, as I talked about in the last episode, had a little bit of a shuffling of matches. Different matches happen in different places, but we're all leading to one title line. And so we have some of those matches we're going to talk about as William Bibbiani, after Sam Levine drops the belt, has just been crowned the champ. And so they were already working on kind of getting him his first opponent. And so that first series of matches that we had includes John the Outlaw Roca taking on Ben Bateman. Roca would win that one 18-16. Then we had the Goat Killer, Andrew Guy, take on Mark Riley in a match that would see Guy TKO Riley as well. Guy would finally meet his match as he gets TKO'd by Roca 13-12 in the number 1 contenders match. And then finally, William Bibbiani takes on John Roca to defend, and in it, Roca wins his second belt ever, 23-18 being the final score. So since you are the special guest here, I know this has absolutely nothing to do with you. We'll get to you soon, I promise. But out of these matches, because you were a fan at one point, what stands out to you about these from what you remember?
I think the run that Guy went on, because the run that Guy went on that season,
yeah,
well, the odds of him pulling that off were astronomical. It's like, not only did he beat Dan, did he TKO him, TKO'd Riley. We're just like, if he beats Roca, he's gonna win the belt. That's just the natural course.
No way.
That's just the natural progression of Guy's journey. If he were to beat Roca, I think he would have won the belt, because there's just no way that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's all the momentum on your side.
Literally all of it, and then some. But no, yeah, but we got to see Roca Bibbiani, a match that had been building up for a while, and I'm pretty sure I was there when that happened. I was there. That's right. I was in the entrance.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah. I
don't have a picture of that, but
no, it was a really fun match to watch. I think that you saw the intensity with Roka as you used to. I'm not gonna say as you usually do because he's kind of lost that in recent years, but you used to see that intensity with Roka all the time, and maybe he's getting it back. I don't know. I'm not gonna call it, but as of right now, for that match, that was the Roka of old, and he played well. He had a well played match.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Robert, what out of these matches stands out to you?
I was going to say, based on your entrance, you were talking about Chance not being involved, but he was singing You've Lost That Love and Feeling. Not only him, but it was the first appearance on screen, I believe, of Mr. Paul Oyama as well.
Yeah, Oyama was there too.
Who I didn't hear singing, so I just assumed
he didn't know the words. He didn't know the words.
Oh, well, he's on blast now that he did not know the words to that song, which is in a very famous.
He told me that right before. Like, yeah, I don't know the words. Like, just mouth along. It's fine. Just do it. It'll be fine. Just go.
Well, I think that was important for a number of different reasons, but that match to me is the one that stands out, the title match, because you mentioned it, Aaron. The two leading up to that, the Riley guy and then the Roka guy, were TKOs. So they were semi-close, but then there was a point when they just sort of escalated and then got lost in the third round. But it's funny to see a match that turns on an over-the-top question, and that's exactly what happened in that Bibiani-John Roka match.
Yeah, so my preparedness clearly shows Chance was involved. I did not. In preparation, I skipped straight to the matches.
Yeah, no, I was there.
I just wanted to call you out.
No. That's absolutely okay. That's why I bring guests on who watch every minute of all 20-something videos that we're going through, because I don't. No. Also, that's interesting. You and your future rival showing up together singing songs. That's
yeah.
Well, we broke it here first, guys. The reason they have a rivalry is because Paul didn't know the words. I think
that's the only reason, because he did not know the words to You Lost Your Love and Feeling.
They definitely had never played each other before. I don't know what you're talking about. Andy, what of these matches stands out to you?
I mean, I think it got to go on the same train. It's that Roka Bibiani match. I mean, it was you had so much going into that match apart from the title. I think having the title on there added a whole nother level of hatred, intensity, passion, whatever you want to say, especially with those two. Good promos, good. I think the match before that is when they were screaming at each other in the post interview, I believe, against the Andrew Guy match. Is that when Bibiani showed up?
Yep. Yeah, they started.
That was it.
And that was that good little promo or debate, whatever you want to have. We also actually had, during this little run, I believe, the first appearance of Branda Hanna as Ben Bateman's little servant.
This isn't Baby Boss had to come.
Yeah, that's when he showed out and had the god-awful suit, as Mark Ellis liked to point out. There's
also another reason I'm involved with this match, which I'll get to later. But no, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very good title match. I said last time, it's unfortunate. Bibiani's almost kind of the forgotten champion. Like, I feel like if there's one singles champion you're bound to not remember, it's Bibiani, because it was such a short reign, because they basically went from singles title to singles title. But he definitely put up a hell of a fight in this match to keep it. But it goes Roka's way. And on that note, we move into really why we're here, this portion of the season, which is Mike Kalinowski, try as he will, came in, absolutely took over the league, and decided he was going to do exactly what he wanted with the ultimate Schmoedown Anarchy. Every team broken up in the tournament, with the exception of the champs, randomized partners. We've learned years later on that wasn't all completely random, but to the eye at the time, randomized partners. And so the matches that I've pulled to focus on weren't necessarily focused on the teams that went furthest, but the teams that had a standing impact, because a number of these teams did not last very long after the tournament, or they never really got off the ground if they did. But 4 teams did, and those were the Founding Fathers in their first match versus Wait, I Know This, the live match. This would end 20-17 TKO win. We had the Odd Couple, who made a very exciting debut in a TKO 20-10, beating Team Sebs. We had Who's the Boss winning 28-27 against the Crazy 80 Greats, current teammates Haley Fouch and Eric Zipper. And then finally, Mike Kalinowski allowed the Schmoedown to answer one big question: who is Chance Ellison? with Corruption versus Inky and the Brain, a match that would end 19-18, going to Corruption. So I feel like this goes without saying, but Chance, which of these matches stands out to you?
I know this, obviously. Most underrated team that ever played Schmoedown. No, obviously, it's mine. I have personal stake in that match. And, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's how I got to where I am.
Absolutely. And I do say, like, when I was going back through and watching the matches, a very solid debut. Like, and especially when you go through the comments, like looking back on it, you very quickly made an impact. It went from who's this stranger they paired with Mike to, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of our weaker teams, but that was also like the first time we played together. So it's still, feeling each other out. And like a thing like people underrate is the fact that in teams, like chemistry is very important. Yeah. And so that was like our first like official time, like working together. I think Mike even says in the match. So like, yeah, so it was a learning curve. So and they threw us an admittedly easier match because they wanted us to try and build it because they can't have Mike lose in the first round. But hey, they took it to us, and that helps when you get a really well-timed strength and us going against a strategy that we would employ with all of our matches. So yeah, but I do think that it was a good start. It was a rocky start, but it was a good start.
So obviously we're doing this flashback series, but normally the point of this show is it's an interview show. So I feel like I have to take a second to ask and answer what you can about this. I know some things are hush-hush and some aren't, but when you were brought into the league, obviously you were brought in because of your prowess in the fan leagues. You played as much as you could. You were very successful in them. Was the discussion when you were brought in, like, we're bringing you in and putting you into this tournament, or were you brought in for Kalinowski, if you're allowed to answer that?
I think the intent was always I was going to be Mike's partner. I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
I was just told I was going to be brought into the tournament, but then I found out later, like, oh no, I was expressly brought in to be Mike's partner because so like it was going to be like him, like he outsourced, he kind of cheated, he outsourced to get a new partner.
I mean, hey, it worked out for him in the end.
Worked.
You guys are two-time team champions.
Thematically, it made sense.
It did, though. I think it's, and of course, if you go back and watch the special, right, there's the bit where he's playing it up, and I love they put the image of like just the blank face,
the blank face
silhouette. Exactly. It's like who's this guy? Like, I watched that going, okay, you definitely know who he is. Come on now. Yeah. You don't just show up. And I believe, if I'm correct, you weren't the first fan to play, because we talked about them being late to the party, but you were the first person from the fan leagues to step up.
From the fan leagues, yes, I was the first one.
So you are the reason that your teammate Adam Collins exists. And for that, correct, yeah. I think the singles division hates you a little bit. Robert, I'll go to you next. Which of these matches stands out to you from the first round?
So there's an interesting juxtaposition in these first rounds of, like, when you see the teams, and you mentioned it, Aaron, the teams that stood the test of time,
yeah,
teams that fell apart. Because when I watched that Founding Fathers Wait I Know This match, I'm like, man, I really just wish this was like the world's finest. I really just wish that team was, those other teams
still there.
I had selective memory. I forgot what, like, the Crazy 80 Greats really made Who's the Boss work for it. I was like, whoa. And
they did.
And they even got one of those categories that should have been a strength, because they got comic book movies for Zip, and he wasn't as good in it as you would have thought. If it was like Zip now came back in time to Zip then, they might have like won that match. They might have stole it, which is crazy to think about. So
like looking back on it, them, and then it's not a match that comes up. Either team doesn't really come up because neither of them got paired up against one of these teams, but it was the Take the Cannoli versus the Self-Righteous Brothers. Their performance and the Crazy 80 Greats were the two that was like, oh shit, like they lost, but they barely lost. And that was both high, because Inky and the Brain barely lost to yourself and Mike, but that wasn't like the high scoring match of that round. Both of these, one was over 30 points, I believe, and the Who's the Boss one was pushing 30, which is impressive to lose and score that high.
Against like most teams.
Didn't Take the Cannoli like set a record?
Yeah, I think they scored 32 at that point, which was the record, maybe?
Yeah.
It was something impressive.
Yeah.
Which is funny because neither of those teams would last very long.
No.
One wouldn't make it out of the tournament, and one would play one more match.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Another faction made of yours. Damn it, Chance,
Yeah.
you're everywhere. What is with this?
And give Chance and Mike some leeway. They hadn't gone Super Saiyan yet. They were just like,
No, we were just
they were like, we were approaching 9,000. We hadn't got.
we decided to play with our food a little bit. Almost bit us in the end, but
Yeah.
we prevailed.
No,
we persevered.
And to be fair, I don't think any team should have been expected to play at a 10 because that's exactly the point, right? It's a bunch of, in some cases, strangers being put together, you know? Had you and Chance met, or not your Chance, had you and Mike met before that day?
We had met one other time. I was at a taping once a couple months before, and that was the first time we actually met.
Okay.
And it did help kind of like put him a bit at ease because he didn't know who I was. Just like all he had was like Christian, like, hey, we have this dude. We're gonna pair him with you. He's 20 years old, which automatically like red flags.
Yeah, like what?
You guys don't have shared life experience.
Had you guys trained it all together then at all, even before that match, or was it kind of like, here you go?
No,
we hadn't really started training back then. At least I wasn't training with Mike at that point.
Wow.
And by the way, I was a total plebe, and I fell for that Anarchy special. Like, oh my God, who's Chance? He doesn't know who Chance is. Oh no. But I was an idiot, so they got me, I guess.
You got him.
To be fair, if it had been one of the family people I'd never met, I definitely would have been like, oh, who's this person? But like, I met Chance, so I was like, okay, so I know what they're doing. And then of course he was followed by similarly great talent, so they clearly knew what they were doing headed into this. Andy, out of these first few matches, what stands out to you?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of tipping my hand like last episode by wearing this, but so
You see
if I
what
were
you
to say,
do, Chance? You see what you do to these people?
I've been a
very
Mike
nice
supporter since day one, and it's been great to have Chance making Korruption the best faction out there. I'm still waiting for my Fax Champ shirt. It's coming in the mail one of these days.
One of these days.
Yeah. So I'd say outside of that, that Founding Fathers live match strictly for Jeff Goldblum and Koi Jandrew. That's probably one of the greater entrances out there. And I believe the real rejects were the dinosaurs.
The rejects were the dinosaurs, yes.
They were.
Yeah. And I think one of them almost dying. Was that Greg who almost died by charging?
I think that was Greg.
But I mean, yeah, it was just kind of fun to see new teams, new lifeblood, kind of changing up the guard and not knowing what you're going to expect. So it was that too, really, for me. And then obviously Korruption, everything Korruption.
Well, speaking of Korruption, let's move on because they did into round 2 of the tournament. And we have the 3 big matches from that round of the tournament here to talk about next. We had the Odd Couple take on the Paddington 2 in a match that ended 29-24 to the Odd Couple. Who's the Boss took on the Cinemaniacs. And that ended 27-26 in favor of Who's the Boss. And then a match that nobody's forgotten, the Founding Fathers versus Korruption, that ends 32-31 in sudden death. We'll get to that in a second, but I'll go to Robert first. Which of these matches stands out to you?
These were all great. This is like the greatest round of Schmoedown-ness ever, honestly, because all these matches are really good. I guess I'll focus on Cinemaniacs and Who's the Boss because I'm a Matt Nost lover, and this was Matt Nost's last match ever, unfortunately. And that match ended up being pretty good. All these matches were really good, but I guess I'll just focus on that one because of the entrance with the Frankie Avalon with the beach dancing and getting Matt Nost to do the dancing, and then ramifications.
Speaking of, while going through this match, I was bursting through while paused, and I landed on what is the face of nightmares. So here's that for you. As he's puncturing it. It's one of those where sometimes there's another one in a minute. I just like skipping through the video. I landed on a face, and I'm like, that's beautiful. I mean, that is Matt Nost's entire career in one image. That is exactly what he brought. But yeah, keep going. I'm sorry. I had to bring that up. That's great.
No, I mean, all these matches were great. We also got with the Odd Couple and Paddington 2. We got like the Matt Atchity, like, oh, we're always getting close to the end, but then we make like a very critical mistake.
Yeah.
Like we did that with MODOK, we did it here, and then we do it when he challenges his own answer, you know. So it's just a long line of Matt Atchity screwing the pooch at the end.
What is the dumbest piece of nice sportsmanship ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which obviously you'll get into when that season comes up. But
Oh yeah. Andy, which of these matches stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll leave the one match for the very end there. That Cinemaniacs, actually, you know, because I feel like Matt Nost is one guy who just he doesn't get enough credit. You know, when he's on, and he can be really good. And I believe this is that match where he has that one-liner where Ben Bateman tries to say something to him, and he gives the infamous
Good one.
Which I think I mentioned in the last video. I didn't realize it was going to be in this one. So I always enjoy that moment, and you know, it's kind of nice to see Matt Nost step outside the box a little bit, show some emotion.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, sure. He definitely brought emotion to this match. I will say.
I hope that's the new tag for these videos. Please.
I'm gonna keep that. So all right, let's get to it. So aside from what we're gonna get to, the Founding Fathers Corruption match is a great match. Obviously, 30-30 going into sudden death, like that is an incredible feat from both teams. And then we have one David O'Russell.
Oh boy.
So, all right. So, first off, I want to let you off the hook a little bit. As somebody who is Irish, I was not offended.
Thank you.
But the second thing is, so legitimately in your head, because in the match, you guys jump up immediately like you've won while Roka is doing his thing on the side.
Yeah.
What was going through your head when the challenge happened?
Like, well, because like from my understanding, my answer was never in question. It was the whole thing whether or not Dan's counted, which it shouldn't have, because he didn't have the answer written down. Like my dad, who was a new Schmoedown fan, just like, he didn't have the answer written down. Why is that?
Right.
Why is it even being discussed? So like, yeah, I understand he went first. And, like, there's no way he could have cheated. But the whole thing is like, you have to have it written down and say it at the same time.
Right.
So, and he didn't do that. So therefore, it's not going to count.
I mean, we just saw that with Damon and Demolanta, right?
Yeah,
Damon didn't have it written down. He says,
you could have easily just said Bly, but even if he did, it wouldn't have counted. So like, it doesn't matter. Secondly, people like even that day we're saying I shouldn't have counted. Thing is, like, if that was, say it wasn't a whiteboard round, say that was just like a round 2 or like a 2-pointer or 3-pointer. If I just say David O'Russell, no question. There's no question that I knew the answer. I just don't know how, like, don't know the exact spelling. So I really don't understand why people were so up in arms about that. Yeah,
it's one of those where it's like, to me at least, it never stood out as a big deal, because I was just like, you know, you have all the components there. And the one thing people said, which is something that they have used since, is like, oh, well, if that name does exist on somebody, then it should count. And one of the comments when I was reading through, because some of these videos I'll read the comments to kind of get an idea of what the headspace was. And somebody goes, oh, there is a David O'Russell on IMDb. They have 1 acting credit and no directing credits. I did find that David O'Russell on IMDb after typing in David O'Russell the way you spelt it and going through 5 Google pages to get there. So that tells you, like, I punched in David O. Russell, and the first thing that comes up is David O. Russell Untitled Film, whatever his next movie is. Like, it's literally non-existent. Sorry to the real David O. Russell, whoever that Irish guy is. I'm sorry to you that you're confused for this guy, but yeah, but you are right though. It's one of those things where, and I love Roka, but I also hate Roka at times because the passion almost makes it unbearable. He definitely tried to switch up his argument because the challenge is on Dan.
Exactly.
And then when he came back, he's trying to call out you. So that is. So I'll go back to the two at the bottom, Robert, Andy. You know, obviously, I'm sure as the guy wearing the Corruption jersey and a fan of the Schmoedown yourself, you guys have thoughts. Go ahead and talk. What do you guys think?
Let Andy go because he has the Corruption shirt on. I'll take the devil's advocate position.
You know, I was pacing my living room, I think, that entire match, start to finish. It was almost like almost a double standard ending, almost like with that Star Wars match where I didn't know how to feel at first. I was afraid to get excited. I was like, what if they reverse this? What if we keep going? But it was wonderful to see both storyline wise and competition wise, just the passion, everything. That post-match interview is a whole nother thing. I actually just watched that match right before. That was the last thing I watched right before we started recording.
Okay.
It's kind of nice sometimes to see the behind the curtain a little bit, to kind of really see these players break down, see that it's more than just a game for you guys, because it is more than just a game. I loved it. Obviously, the controversy aside, I mean, there are rules in place. Obviously, we have a rule book now, but there are rules in place, and he didn't have it written down. I mean, Alex will even tell you in that match, I didn't have it written down. I didn't get it right. So I think at that point, they were probably just grasping at straws, trying to see if they can maybe get a challenge in their favor, because sometimes that does happen. You're going to have a controversial call either way. They were in a terrible position. I mean, you're either going to have Korruption fans that were mad or Founding Father fans that were mad. So they went with the right choice there.
And obviously, Chance, you were there, so you can back this up. I believe back then the challenges were a little less structured. Like it's not like it is now, where it's like state your point, now piss off and let us talk. Like, they were there. I'm pretty. You guys were there the whole time, right? While they're
we were like sitting, we were still sitting there. It was like a bizarre long time. I started out there for like 10 minutes while they were like up deliberating. And honestly, we were just like we were just like hanging out as it was going on. Like it was like, we're just hanging out. We were having fun. And they
at a certain point, it's like
they came back with the verdict. Roka got pissed and they just like stormed off. Which is why at the end of the match he's not there anymore.
Yeah, they cut around him walking, but he's not there.
Yeah, they cut around him storming off, but he left.
They don't tell you the verdict before you're hearing it at the same time as everyone else. They don't like, hey, this is what we're ruling.
They didn't used to do that. They do that now, but they didn't used to do that.
Oof. Okay.
To be fair, I still don't think they tell Roka. I think they enjoy the reactions one way or the other.
I still think they would have told him. Now I don't think they would have told him because I think that the reaction was just funnier. But it was. It got to like it was like a weird zone. Then it was like, okay, we're cool. We're just chilling and waiting, and then it just got very, very uncomfortable.
All right, so Robert, you said you want to play devil's advocate for a second, please.
So full disclosure, I did not like Korruption very much, and I did not like Chance very much at all, because I didn't know Chance from fan leagues till a bit later. Until I saw a Chance match once where he had a big Troy Polamalu fat head in the background, and as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I was like, okay, now I can ride or die with Chance. So
that's the thing. That one. Yeah. If I knew I was going to be so many fans, I would have worn a Steelers jersey every match.
Oh, you should. I mean, there's so many people out there who would love you for it. But that being aside, I'm a Founding Fathers fan. I was at that point. But I'm also someone who cares about like the structure of the game. So I figured that Korruption had won anyway. The challenge didn't make sense to me at either point. It would have had to have been like two simultaneous challenges for the two different diverging means for why it is they wanted to have it. But right. I think when you play the heel, as Chance and Mike were somewhat doing at that time, if people get mad at you and for how a result goes, I think that just speaks to how well you play that role. So I think that actually just speaks to how well Chance and Mike were playing that particular role, as well as how well they were playing, because obviously this was their best match. I think Chance, you would probably agree this is your best match of this tournament, right?
The tournament, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was saddened by it, but I understood it, because especially now as someone who plays in fan leagues all the time, you want things to be as fair as possible. And the fairest thing was that it was 2-1 Korruption and they win the sudden death. So there you go.
I mean, if it helps, we got what, 3 more matches after that, and one of the probably better rivalries out there. I mean, those matches are
we did get 3 more. We got 3 rematches after that. So
it's my favorite. It's my favorite team's rivalry.
The trilogy wasn't enough for you guys. You had to keep going.
No, we had to go for 4.
Yeah. At least the 4th one was good, and it wasn't like a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. No Phantom Menace. We were Force Awakens that day, if you think about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for Chance, I'd say the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was that third one because woof, that room was not loving you guys that day.
No, no.
Ooh.
The crowd was not on our side that day.
As somebody who was in the room, it's like, wow, that turned real quick. You guys were real happy before.
Yeah, we were cool. We were ready. We felt good. Literally, like one round in, we're like, yeah, no, this could get very ugly very fast, and it did get very ugly very fast.
When it's that hostile in an environment, does it make it harder just to concentrate on your questions and more about what everyone's thinking?
I'm more concerned about Mike's mentality, honestly, because I've been in tons of situations where I had to focus on questions. It doesn't really bother me anymore. But like, yeah, I mean, just I'm more concerned about their mentality because I know it's feeding them, and Mike's mentality because I'm just like, hey, just focus, let's just keep in this. That's
Makes sense.
Where I'm at the time.
Yeah. Thankfully, what probably would be the harshest chant to hear being people scream like "you deserve it" and shit like that didn't come till after the match.
Yeah, no,
people were. I mean, I literally had to turn around and ask a guy to stop because there was a dude behind me that was screaming so loud it was actually obnoxious at that point. Like for the people around you, it's like, all right, you're a fan, man. We get it. Stop.
I mean, if they were gonna chant out "you deserve" after round one, they probably would have. They were ready to call it after round one.
Yeah, it was. Oof, I don't envy you guys.
Yeah.
So, and with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next stage of the tournament. But before we do that, I have to do one more thing. So it was during this Founding Fathers match, I also happened to pause the video, skip forward, and land on the sequel to this image, which is this image.
Was this the one where like Christian like zones out? I know he zones out in like one of these matches. I'm not sure which one.
It's one of these like when he's reading the rules, he's just staring at something.
Yeah, no, because usually what happens is like they put like the title card up with the rules. For some reason, they didn't do that this time, so he's just like staring into space.
I wish I'd got that one. I didn't notice it when I was watching through the match, and then it was when I read the comments. I was like, Christian, what are you staring at?
This also does inspire my favorite GIF of myself, which is like, it's the whole like relax. When I'm talking to Rogan before their round two. Because that's just like I said to him, I'm like, hey mom, I got a GIF. I'm like, yep, that sums you up.
My favorite one, which I don't have it uploaded, but I still have it saved on my computer, is a couple of videos ago, or it was last one. I took a screen cap of Christian's face when Guy won, because that's where hopes and dreams go to die.
No, literally,
I love that picture.
Seasons of storyline with Christian you just see it like burning right before his eyes.
Which we said on the episode, but it's like, if Guy didn't burn it then and there, Sam was about to do it a week later anyway, so it didn't matter. But it's like, it's still great to have that reaction on camera. When the guy who writes the show was surprised. So let's go ahead and move on as we get to the end of the tournament. We had the Odd Couple take on what started out as Evil Geniuses, but then JTE decided to go scooter riding, and they became the Harris Brothers. And they, much love JTE, but the Harris Brothers, who beat the Odd Couple 26-29. We then go on to another great match. Who's the Boss take on Korruption, and that ends 28-26 in Who's the Boss's favor. And then I have to correct myself because last episode I made a statement in which I said that I believed the only title match that ever ended by the third round was Alex Damon versus Bruce Green. I was in fact incorrect upon watching this match when I realized that the finals of this tournament, Who's the Boss versus the Harris Brothers, was a 27-10 knockout in the third round. I feel very confident in saying those are the only two matches. I know it hasn't happened since. I feel very confident.
In the third round, yeah, Bruce Green and Damon, and that seems like it's. I don't recall.
Yeah, and then this one, because I said the only other one that came to mind was Oyama, but I was like, I know Oyama made it to the fourth round. That wasn't a third rounder either.
No, he definitely made the third round.
Fourth round.
He made the fourth.
Yeah, because that's unfortunately where it fell apart. So 27-10. I mean, talk about a tournament run to a burnout ending, which kind of sucks looking back on it. But I just want to say before we get into it, those two semifinals matches not better than that second round, but again, really great play from all 4 teams. Like, it was really, really impressive. Can I just say, though, Chance, I don't know who does the wardrobe for the Schmoedown, but I really appreciate that they coordinated all of you. That was incredible. Wow. I mean, it's not even just the black, it's the red, too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you guys look like the smoothest biker gang the Schmoedown has ever seen.
I mean, Bateman's the one who's out of line because he has no leather jacket.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, his leather sport coat didn't come in yet.
No.
Yeah, it was in the mail. It was in the mail. But Andy, what are your thoughts on these matches? Which of them stands out to you?
You know, I think it's that odd couple match, just in the fact that like Jonathan Harris was kind of plucked out really quickly. They were like, "Hey, we need a replacement. Hey, by the way, we're going to throw you in a really big match against 2 really good competitors. Let's see what you can do."
I believe he played his previous round too, right? JT only got 1 match in.
Oh, did he? Okay, so
got 1.
So this was their second match together then.
Yes, it was their second.
But still pretty impressive to go from never playing before to, hey, we're going to throw you in the middle of this tournament. And, oh, by the way, your second match is going to be against Mark Andreyko and Jeff Snyder.
Right.
And I think he was riding on that high still a little bit. Okay, I did really good in the first match. I'm going to keep playing, really just carry that in momentum. Like we always talk about momentum. So he had that momentum going, and I can't remember how well Jeff Snyder played, but we always know that plays a big factor into his mentality. If he's not into it, he's not going to try, and he's just going to give up.
I don't remember this one going badly. I think this one was just an honest defeat.
No, there was just like a couple steals, and that's really what sealed it.
I don't honestly think Jeff has had a moment since he's gone with Andreyko. Like, since that trio has come together, I think his attitude has definitely improved, because I think the closest you could say was the title match last year, but they've even said after the fact, like, no, what was causing his attitude was the tech issues. It wasn't anything to do with the game. It's just that stuff gets edited out, so we don't, which is probably for the better. Watching tech issues is nobody's version of entertainment.
What? I love it.
All right, every tech issue we have, I'll cut it out and send it to you. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Chance, which of these matches stands out to you?
Probably the odd couple match, just because I think that for Harris having to come in and just perform as well as he did, I think he did well. Him and Lon gelled really well together. I think it came to a very quick end, very fast. But
unfortunately, yeah, it did.
The end of it was swift, and it was without mercy. But for a short period of time, they did really well together.
Yeah. That because technically, I don't think they ever reset the record. That mix of a team is the weirdest thing to ever happen to the Schmoedown, because it was JTE and Lon, then it was Lon and Jonathan, then JTE and Jonathan played each other to be with Lon. Then it was JT and Lon again, and then it was Simon Thompson and Lon, and then that team died.
And you got to remember, John became the manager of JTE and Lon as well after that match as punishment.
Yeah, which that doesn't happen very often, where you see teammates just switching on and off like that.
No. No? A good team. It's not like a bad team where you have to have moving parts to make it successful. They weren't successful.
Fair enough. I don't think Chance will let anybody take his seat on corruption, though, and that's a fact there.
Well, I mean, you get a little cachet and a little bit of leeway when you're a 2-time champ. So exactly. I think he could call his shots.
Absolutely. But so that is the end of the tournament. Obviously, we see it end 27-10 to Who's the Boss celebrating there, and just what is Gucci wearing? I forgot that he was wearing a sailor's cap for a bit, but he's got the sailor's cap, the mask, the glasses, and what looks like a mother's sweater on.
Couch potato captain wear.
Yeah,
I think he's still wearing his booty shorts too, isn't he?
He was
probably. So be honest, what was that like to look at in real life? I mean, that must have been.
Look at how it's just you're not mad, you're not like you're just confused. It's like, how did this happen?
I think he uses a distraction technique. Competitors are focusing on that.
Sometimes it works. Like I forgotten question. I knew the answer. I've never forgotten his reflector pants he wears.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's something else, man. I'm at that Orlando show because I don't know what he was doing, but when they were doing the backstage thing, he was like out back somewhere. I met him for all of 3 seconds and went, "Yep, okay, that's not an act. That is real." Whatever he said was like, "Okay, that's it."
You learn very quickly that like he's not acting. It's just who he is.
Such a unique personality. And so with that, we move on from the teams tournament into the singles tournament. And it's funny going back because I attempted to go back and try and I found this through trying to find posters for Spectacular, but I couldn't find copies of any through YouTube or through Facebook to put up later. But I found a comment section where Spectacular got mentioned, and it was in relation to a list of people who got put out who wouldn't be in the singles tournament that year. And the comments were all just like, well, who the hell is playing in the tournament? And the answer with this first round of matches, and unfortunately I missed one of them, so I don't actually have an image for one or a score, but we had one Chance Ellison take on Ethan Irwin in his first singles match. We had Clark Wolf take on Ben Bateman. We had Dan Murrell take on Stacey Howard. And then we also had Drew McWeeny take on Mark Andreyko. I know Andreyko won, obviously. Unfortunately, I don't have a poster for that one. But out of these matches, Chance, I feel like besides the singles match, obviously, we'll go there. But which of these stands out to you?
Honestly, Andreyko, even though you're in a picture of Andreyko McWeeny, because that was a really competitive match. Probably
I think their match was the most competitive out of all of them. So it's insane that I forgot about it till afterwards. I was like, wait, I'm missing a match in the first round. How did I do that?
Right. Yeah. No. Like it was real back and forth, and yeah, Mark managed to pull it out. And I was really impressed with his performance out there.
Yeah. So I mean, I have to ask you, your singles debut. So obviously you're going through the teams tournament with Mike. At what point did you find out you were also getting entered in the singles tournament?
It was fairly early on. Like I didn't get like a concrete answer, but I knew that there was probably a good chance I was going to be in it. Like okay. I heard about the whole like round robin to be in to get the last spots, and just like okay, fine, whatever happens, I'll take it. And turns out I got the one to like the automatic in.
Yeah, it was Bateman, right, that had to play his way in.
It was Bateman, Lon, Josh, and Janine, all fighting for the other one. There were 2 spots available. I got the automatic in. Probably not the best course of action, but I was gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, so playing Ethan Irwin in your first singles match, what was the first? Yeah, like what was that like? Which, to be fair, take nothing away from the loss. 19-18 was the final score. I mean, a hell of a fight put up, but that's a rough first put.
Yeah, no, it's not an ideal way to start. I say that just because I'm like, okay, fine. I gotta because at that point Ethan was just like he was great. He was playing really well, playing really good Schmoedown. But I'm like, okay, so at that point I was just like I knew I was playing with house money at that point just because if I win, awesome. If I lose, if I lose, I'm like, okay, I'll probably get something better next season, hopefully. Actually, I think Christian told me just like, yeah, you have nothing to lose. If you win, that's incredible. If you lose, I'll throw you something easier next season. Huh. But yeah, no, but like looking at his match, I knew that the things I'm really good at, he's not good at. So I'm like, okay, that gives me an edge. That gives me something to try and do.
Pixar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that specifically. But yeah, no, Ethan, he's a cool dude. Became really good friends with the guy after the match and since. But no, yeah, I mean, it was still fun to play him because I like playing this game. It's a tough draw for your first round, but sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah, have you watched Johnny Suede at all? Have you watched Johnny Suede at all?
I have watched. It's a piece of shit, but I have watched it.
Did it help at all later on with him winning the title? Were you at least like, okay, at least I lost to the guy who ended up winning the title?
It's funny. Like my first 2 singles tournaments, I lost to a finalist. Like first time I lost to the person who won the tournament, won the belts. Second time lost to a finalist. Third time lost to a semifinalist. I'm like, okay, if I keep this going, eventually I'm going to like
work your way there.
work my way there to a point where I'm going all the way. So,
well, this year's your year, so it's good.
Yeah. So, but no, honestly, again, seeing Erwin go to the title did cushion the blow a bit. Like, okay, I may have lost, but I lost to the guy who beat everybody, so that's fine.
And I mean, talk about an intimidating line. I mean, we'll get to it in a second. But if you had beat Erwin, Dan Murrell being your next match is another fuck.
I was ready to take on Dan. I was ready for it.
You were ready for it?
I was.
That would have been a very. If you had won both of those, think about how you were already pretty over with the fans. I think for the most part, people were liking the mic thing. And I think it's actually very smart to take this brand new, we've never heard of them person and stick them with the person who is in the story that's already over with the fans. Because I think that really helped you kind of become acclimated very quickly. I would say so. It at least appeared on the outside that way. But I mean, if you'd taken on Erwin, beat him, and then played Dan and potentially won, I mean, that's the quickest way to get over. We saw it with Collins. That is how you get over with people, is just keep beating people we like. Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, no, honestly, man, I almost did it. I got a 5 that literally nobody in the building knew.
Dude, yeah, no. And you could see that. Is that what he said to you when he leaned over? He's like, what was that?
Yeah, no, yeah, you're fucking great. You're fucking great. But I heard that question. I saw the face in the crowd. Everyone's like, "What the hell?" I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm screwed.
I looked it up when I was rewatching it. I looked up the movie, and I was like, never heard of this. And I looked it up, and it was 1991. I was like, well, I know he made his acting debut in '90, so I went, shit.
Yeah, that's the thing where that was one of the questions where nobody knew. It's that would have killed anybody
in that building. Well, at least that's something you can sit on. It's at least I wasn't the only one. It's not like Erwin was next to you bouncing with joy because he knew it. That's worse. That's worse.
We got the great line of Chance saying Roka's 106 years old, and even he didn't know it. So that was got that one.
Yeah,
true. No, but I do. Before we move on, I do have to pull out one more thing though. When I was watching the video, I kept track. I do have to say, your guys' match has to be the fastest that round 2 has ever gone. I don't know what it's like in the studio, how much time they take between these things, but in the actual edit, between the round 2 rules and the round 3 rules coming up, there's maybe 4 minutes of playtime.
Wow.
It's probably about the same time.
Okay. So it's just that quick. Go, because you guys were on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. I don't think there's ever been one quicker than that.
Probably not. I would love to see. I would love to see the stats on that,
get Frank to go through all the
matches. Yeah, fastest round 2 is done. But I want to say we're definitely up there.
Yeah, because the fact that and so because you got Spinner's Choice, right? Yeah. You've just watched Erwin do what he did, and you land on Pixar. I mean, the thought goes from oh fuck to oh yeah, basically it has to.
I'm right? I needed a big swing. I got a big swing.
Absolutely. Robert, what out of these opening round matches kind of stands out to you?
We talked about them a little bit. I'll mention Clark Wolf and Ben Bateman because, as was mentioned in the post interview a lot, Clark had a bad run of tournament luck up to that point. She hadn't won one, and she ran into buzzsaws a lot of different times. So watching her go toe-to-toe with Bateman, who was he on the 6-0 run at that point, I think?
No,
that was next season.
That was next season. Sorry. Yeah.
But he had just come off of a very close Roka loss, and then he had to win. Was it 1 match or 2 to get in?
2. He had to beat Janine, and then he had to beat Lon to make it in.
Did the team tournament go through already, though?
Yes, that was already done.
Yeah.
They said in there that he with Gucci had gone 6-0 combined between the play-in matches.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So he was on a huge hot streak going into that, and they talked about it. And watching him miss Bangarang, which was a big studio uproar, oh my god, I can't believe you missed Bangarang, you idiot! That's kind of the sense I got from the crowd in that one. And then watching Clark, get the last question of Straw Dogs, and then come together with the Fife Club, and there's just a lot of effervescence and ebullience flowing up from that. A lot of joyous, raucous occasion. Getting to see her go through, and then obviously that's going to culminate in an eventual finals appearance as we'll get through more of this tournament. But I really enjoyed that match. I thought it was really good.
And then Andy, what about these matches stands out to you?
I mean, it's Clark Wolf. I always liked Clark Wolf. I feel like she was that person who always came so close to that singles title, and then she was never able to get it. You know, she'd always hit that one freight train, which I think it was known as Dan Murrell, unfortunately. And I would talk about that Drew McWeeny match, but I actually forgot about that one too. I don't even really remember much about that one at all.
Yeah,
but
I think that's the year because like Apollo 13 burned him twice. I think that was the second time.
Oh yeah, he got. The answer was Gary Sinise, right? And that was
the answer was like what disease he got that kept him off the mission.
Yeah, right.
Tough.
I don't know that one.
I think it was measles.
Measles,
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you guys do this, and I don't anymore.
Was that the last time we saw Drew McWeeny, or did we see him anymore? Oh no, that's right. Never mind. Yeah,
he has not gone anywhere.
Not yet. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he took COVID off, and that was it, basically.
Literally, he took pandemic off, and he's back in full force.
This has nothing to do with the video, but I just thought of it, so I thought I'd say it. I wonder if because I know he left for I believe he left for something work related, but I don't know the details, obviously. I wonder if we had all known what was coming, would he have retired? Like, if we knew, hey, in a month the world's going to shut down and we're going digital, do you step away at that point?
Probably not, honestly. I think if he had known how easy shape taping was going to be, even for the season, I don't think he would have left.
Yeah, because that was your match, right? That he did it. That was the number one contenders match. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it shocked the entire room.
That's my favorite retirement
ever. That was unplanned then?
Right, bye.
I mean, it was planned. No one knew about it except for
it was planned.
McWeeny, Guy, and Christian. But it was planned.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So before we move on, it is worth mentioning because obviously this was his first match after the probably mentally and emotionally eviscerating Andrew Guy loss. But Dan Murrell coming back into the tournament and then winning 18-7 by knockout. Certainly the way you want to come back after that loss. You know, the last thing you want to do after getting Guy screaming "fuck you" in your face is to lose again. So certainly the way you want it to go. But let's move on. So we have the rest of the tournament at that point. So we had really the two singles juggernauts of that year. Murrell and Irwin faced off, and that match ends 13-12. Irwin wins by TKO, doing something not many people can do in TKOing Dan Murrell. I think it's him and Guy, basically.
And
Clark
more
Wolf,
impressive because he does it with Dan getting spinner's choice. At least, Guy, he had opponent's choice. So Dan was hoisted on his own petard.
True. Clark Wolf takes on Mark Andreyko. She wins 18-13 against her faction mate. Then we had the third place match, which was a match for another number one contenders opportunity, which was Dan Murrell versus Mark Andreyko, in which Murrell wins 15-14 by TKO. And then we had the tournament finals, which was Clark Wolf versus Irwin. And this is one of those situations where win or lose, you really got something out of it. Irwin wins 23-19 to get a title shot at Spectacular, and Clark loses to get a number one contendership at Spectacular against the freight train that is Dan Murrell. Out of the rest of that tournament matches, what stands out to you, Andy?
I think it's that last one. Just, Irwin had already started that infamous run of his, just plowing through anything and everything in his path. And it was kind of nice to see him finish that, to have that eventual showdown with John Roca at the Spectacular. And it was just, it was nice to kind of, when someone's on that run, you like to see them at least get all the way to the top. What happens there, I'm okay either way, but it was nice to see him go on that run, especially after last year where we thought he was going to do it and then he fell short. So it was nice to see him come back and really just hit the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, absolutely. Chance, out of these matches, what stands out to you?
Yeah, same thing. I also think it was maybe Clark's best played singles match. I think she did. I think she performed really well against Irwin. She was one
South side with me.
That's right.
One pronoun away from beating him.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and I didn't see the match before because we shot Spectacular way in advance that year. Like I didn't even see the match. I didn't know about it. I just remember hearing about it. My heart just like, oh, that hurts. Because I knew the answer. I knew it was Southside with you, but
yeah,
it sucks when you're like that close to a correct answer. You're just like missing like a letter or word.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of the movie at that point. So like when I heard the title, I was like, okay, that seems like something that would make sense. And like you can see it, it's unfortunate because you can see it in her reaction. She clearly thinks she's won it. And then when they say his name, the immediate, which to be fair, it's better than screaming. The immediate response was, "Wait, what was it?"
Yeah, she's like,
She
wait,
turns
huh?
to him.
Yeah, it's one of the worst feelings I have to imagine is thinking
When
you
you think you won, and you're just like, oh no,
find out, oh no, I haven't.
yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the worst feelings in the world. Robert, I'll go to you. What do you think? Which of these matches kind of stands out to you?
I'm a sucker for a simpler time, a time when entrances could be used with music that I knew about. So I really enjoy the Clark and Draco coming into just the two of us. I think it was kind of the most. It's the nicest match you've ever seen, really.
True.
Obviously, there's no hard feelings whatsoever. And it was a well-played match that came down to virtually the end as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, you had already mentioned it with Clark and Ethan that she played probably her best match and still couldn't. It seemed like there was an invisible barrier for Clark for singles that she just couldn't traverse, unfortunately, even though it looked like she was right at the heels. So that's always a heartbreaker, but I really enjoy nice matches with nice people. So Clark and Margaret speaks to me.
Absolutely. So with that, let's go ahead and move into the final portion of this year, something one Chance Ellison is familiar with, the Spectacular. I got that right? Now I'm doubting myself that I say it out loud. Cool. I know what I'm doing. I host this show. So let's go ahead and get into it. 6 matches this year, split into shorter, more palatable videos. That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, it's 3 parts this time, not two just incredibly long videos. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first one was the Commissioner's Bowl, which was kind of the twist on the previous Manager's Bowl, in which Thad Williams and Christian Harloff is basically a part of the corruption storyline in a way, played each other for the commissionership of the league. And if I remember correctly, Thad wanted to even his chances, so he just said, hey, Dagnino and Fife, if you want to play for it, let's do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they go into that match together in what is both simultaneously a really poorly played but well-played match. In the only instance of triple sudden death, Emma Fife takes the win 13-12 to 12-11.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's interesting because the scores are all so low, but they're so close that it's like no one ever really got a leeway on them. Chance, I'll go to you first. What about this match stands out to you?
Honestly, like I would have bet money that Christian was gonna win that match. I'm just like, okay, like only person here with trivia prowess, only person here with only person here who's actually been champion before.
True,
but like. And again, it's not really his fault. I feel like if it was like Christian when he wanted to compete, he would have mopped the floor with everybody on this table. But like his mind was elsewhere. He made it very clear at this point he just did not want to compete anymore. But
this was technically better.
An anomaly in the Schmoedown because she's only allowed to win at certain times of the year. December and like one like random match in the year. Take your pick.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, it like she could only win in because she didn't really win one-on-one matches. She only really won multi-person matches, and she only seemed to win when there was something at stake.
Right.
Like like the Manager Bowl, she won. She won the Commissioner Bowl. Yeah,
did she
tournament?
Yeah, I would say she won an IG once at least too.
She won a couple, maybe a few.
Yeah, she was decent in IG, but I'm talking about singles. Because I know she played some one-on-one singles matches, and I don't think she ever won any of those. I know her team burned out quickly. They didn't do all too well. Yeah, it's one of those weird, interesting things. And so obviously this match ends up being a part of the storyline, as they did, where it was revealed, surprise, surprise, the person behind everything was Christian Harloff, which would have been a surprise if he wasn't the one writing the scripts. But aside from that, so I don't remember exactly how this works because if I'm being honest, I just skipped to the next match. I probably should have watched it, but it's like, isn't it? It's something like because there's this lawyer dude.
That was my story. So I do remember how this went down. So basically, what happened?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, Christian hired the lawyer to investigate Thad's contract. Found some dirt on him. Used Mike to try and manipulate the system. Didn't work, and so the contract came to the expiration. And that's when it got revealed that the lawyer was working for Christian and not Mike.
Right. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. But so that's the idea.
Paulie, super nice dude in real life. Love that guy.
I was gonna say because I don't think he ever appeared after this. He
No.
didn't really appear before this. I think didn't he show up at the award show?
He was the guy who crashed an interview, right? He crashed someone's interview or award.
He crashed the 2017 awards.
Award,
he was at the awards for 18. But, no, like that was the last like major appearance.
Yeah, it was one of those like, who's that guy? Oh, he's gone. Okay.
It's a shame. I thought he was really good at what he did.
I wish we would bring him back. I wish we would bring him back.
Yeah, I was watching the after show. They were talking about, with Christian and contracts, they should have Paulie bring him back and get rid of Grace.
Bring Paulie back, have him like officiate the contracts.
Yeah, so that is, which again, it's weird how they tend to end the storylines early, but the first match of Spectacular, the corruption storyline is ended. Obviously, we get to see Mike later, so there's a little bit more there, and certainly wasn't the end of you guys, but yeah, that was one of those moments where, and I've said it many times on the show, I'm not a wrestling fan, so I look at things as the realist. And so when that happened, I was like, right, so the guy who writes the show is the guy behind this. I find it funny because it's almost meta, but of course it is, right? Like, which I think is part of the fun. You're like, everyone's assuming it's someone other than him. It's like, no, of course it's him. Well, why wouldn't it be? Now, my favorite thing would be if the Schmoeminati thing also turns out to be Chris.
I don't think that's him. I'm not sure who it is. I'm not playing quite. I legitimately don't know who it is, and I don't think it's him.
Chance is looking at an email from them right now saying, "Do not say anything on the air."
Yeah, I don't think he's told anybody, honestly.
Do you think he knows? Let's hope he knows.
I'm sure Christian knows. I don't think he's telling anybody.
And I honestly don't know if he's told Andrew Guy that it's a bit yet. I think he still believes that this is a real thing that's happening.
Well, Andrew Guy went back in time.
He did in fact go back in time.
I have to say, that is one of the more entertaining scenes I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, yeah, that conversation with him and Ben Bateman from the balcony. That's just great.
What year is it? I love the what was it? How many Mission Impossible films are there? 6. Oh yeah, I guess there are 6. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, fine. I guess that's that is right.
Oh, that's great. So I'll go ahead. Robert, Andy, either one of you, what do you guys think about this match before we move on to the big guns of Spectacular?
I think you're right. I think you're right about it's a simultaneously terribly played match and a well-played match. I think strategically it's actually very well played because there's a few opponents and they get together. There's challenges. Mm-hmm. There's a terrible challenge ruling about Huey Lewis in the news. I hate that freaking ruling. I think
what did they rule?
Because Dagnito said Huey Lewis was the one who sings Back in Time, and that challenges Huey Lewis in the news. And they're like, no. And Mark's like, well, I said he got it, so we just have to stick with what I said. Like, why? No, you don't. You can just say
they asked who sang the song. It was Huey Lewis. The news played the music.
Well, that's what Mark said. He's like, I like to believe that Tom Dagnito would have known that Huey Lewis was the front man for Huey Lewis in the news. All right, well, if you want to make assumptions, that's cool, I guess.
I mean, if
who sang it? Who sang it? The news. That's who sang it.
I think Dagnito had that other challenge too.
Yeah.
If he spelled Huey Lewis right, there's a 30% chance he knew that he frontlined the
and Dagnito was a David Ayer versus Ayers away from
Ayers.
also.
Ayers,
David Ayers.
He could have been right there in the sudden death as well.
He was one S away from being commissioner.
Which would be the thing it would be the thing everyone remembers if it wasn't for the later Chazak Bossman.
No, that was earlier. That was earlier Chazak Bossman.
Wasn't that later? Because that's the...
that was earlier.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the Burnett match. Okay. All right.
Oh,
so
God.
let's go ahead and move on into the next match, which is the team's title match at Spectacular. Shire Wolves, who are fresh off their title, not fresh off really, but they are coming off their title win against the cash-in free-for-all prize, Sick in the Head, and they take on the tournament winners in Who's the Boss, who, after great performances in the second round against Korrupted, knocking out the Harris brothers, they are looking unstoppable, except the Shire Wolves beat them
until they got stopped.
34-31. And I mean, realistically, looking back on it, that's kind of all she wrote for Who's the Boss, because they never got that close again.
Never got traction again.
Yeah.
Nope.
But
never recaptured their old success.
They tried so many times.
They got chances. They got opportunities.
Got to give them credit for all the effort, I guess.
Yeah.
They gave a lot of effort. I'm staring at the picture. What is with Bateman's pimp suit? Why was this the time to change?
Yeah.
I mean,
Reversible.
that means Andrew Guy's cane. Like, what is this?
Robert, the big bright red suit.
It's reversible from the other one. You know,
it was reversible.
That's what I imagine. Yeah. It's the reversible Bateman jersey, which is just a suit jacket, I guess.
It has.
Yeah.
You were asking me about this match. This match has one of the best played second rounds for a team match because they both go. What is it? I think Shire Wolves got like Sandra Bullock, I think is what it was, and they rattle it off, and then Who's the Boss spins twice. They get Festival Darlings, and they go 12 for 12, and you're like, oh man, this might actually happen. And then they both stink at the betting round, but Who's the Boss bets a little bit more. And then the speed round, all that practice they were talking about earlier in the year, Clark working on the buzzers, really paid off in this one because the speed round where everything was lost.
Yeah.
Paid off.
Yeah, pretty much. It created between the betting round and the speed round, it created that littlest of gaps that's difficult to come back from in that situation. Andy, what were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, I think Shire Wolves were out to prove something because this was their second match after winning, I believe, against Sick in the Head. Yep. So I think they were out to prove that they weren't paper champions, fake champions. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, that was an easy match against Brienne," and someone who had never played the game before. So I think they were out for blood, and they wanted everyone to say, like, we're here to stay. And I believe, was this the We Are the League, or was that later on or before?
No, that was when Montana.
That was when they won.
The belts.
That was
okay,
when they
yeah.
But I did really like the entrance they had with this one, with all the female competitors coming out as like different
girls run the world.
No Mary
right.
Poppins. No Mary Poppins, which disappointed me, but I like the assortment that they had.
Is it the first thing you say? You go up to them and go, "Really? No Mary Poppins?" All right.
That was literally the exact thing I said to the match after the match.
I like Drinker Bell, right? That's the best.
Drinker Bell was great.
But yeah, so I think it was a good statement. You know, it was just kind of say we're here, we're real champions, and you got to deal with us.
It was a good statement.
It was, yeah. So aside from No Mary Poppins, Chance, what were your thoughts on the match?
No, they played great. It was like I said, it was a statement win and a statement they needed to make. Show we're Sick in the Head, not as great opponents. Absolutely, no, they weren't. Which is why they needed to come back and win this one to show that, like, hey, you know, we weren't handless, but like we earned it, and they did, and they had a very, very well played game.
Right, and it's one of those instances where, like, Robert and I talked about it last episode with the guys. It's like Sick in the Head. If for a first match, Sick in the Head played perfectly fine. For a first match title match,
you never want to debut in a title match. It's not a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
Bruce Green still.
Bruce Green.
Corpse is still buried somewhere.
Yeah.
Bruce Green. We still never found the guy. We still never found the corpse of Bruce Green.
He took all the beer that they offered that day and just went somewhere, and it's not left.
I think Alex's face at the end of that match just sums up Bruce Green perfectly.
Which we screenshotted and
I had it. Yeah, it's like I don't know who looks more Alex looks more disappointed than Bruce in that match.
Yeah,
which says it all. Bruce is like, shit. More beer? Do we have that? Like,
Yeah,
You think Alex is thinking maybe I should have taken the belt when they gave it to me?
Yeah, it's probably could have spared a lot of effort, a lot of pain if I had just taken it.
Yeah. So actually, speaking of him, let's get on to a match that he had some good competition in. Many would say the match he should have just been handed when they needed someone to fight him for the belt. Alex Damon versus Ken Corruption Knapsack. He was with you guys at the time. Seriously, what is it with you guys? Why do you keep having Schmoedown matches? I mean, what is?
I was the only one not get a spectacular match that year.
You were. They should have just given you one just for
Yeah,
that.
why not?
I mean, why not?
Just give me something. Give me something.
Put you in a three-way with Dan and Clark. That should have been it. Why not?
I'd have played that match.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You definitely would have played it. That's like shit your pants level. But it's like I'll do it. Sure.
I would have played it. I was there. I would have played it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, we'll get to you later. You're in here. Don't worry. But Alex Damon plays Ken Knapsack, and again, a very similar situation to the Shire Wolves. No one doubted Alex Damon by that point, but it's like, all right, come on, dude, really? That's your title win? All right. But he goes on to beat Ken Knapsack. 27-25 was the final score. He beats Ken Knapsack for the Star Wars title. Andy, what were your thoughts on that match?
I mean, first of all, I think we can all agree we need more Ken Knapsack in our lives. You know, he needs to come back. Put him on the desk. I don't know anything. I've realized watching season 5 that anytime Ken is on screen, I love it. Whether it's commentating, being a manager, on the desk competing. I love him.
I always love listening to Ken.
He just, and those promos he cuts are just, I love him on the mic. I would say he's probably the best on the mic, or one of the best on the mic.
Absolutely.
One of the best for sure. I used to love when he was with you guys. I love the whiteboard gimmick. He'd walk out and have something on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Which I think turned into him eating food
Yeah,
later on down the road.
Well, that was the thing we did for like one match, and it was just
which now Mike's the one that's eating food with the lollipops and the ice creams and all
the
that.
cereal.
You have to evolve, you know.
Cereal.
Otherwise, you die.
Absolutely.
But so this match, I think, once again, like with the Shire Wolves, it was a statement win to kind of really show I am a champ. I'm going to defend this belt, and obviously we know what he would go on to do for the next three years.
Yeah.
So I think that was really the true start of his reign over the Star Wars division. And it was a well played match too. You know, Knapsack held his own considering he hadn't played a match in quite a while. I think at that point.
The last one he played was that June. It was the live event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right.
What was it?
Right.
Was it the 3-way, right? Versus Sean Damon?
Yep, that was it.
Yeah.
So it was a good match. It was a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. Chance, your manager at the time going for that belt. What are your thoughts on the match?
I was pulling for him, but I just knew Ken's investment level and was like, I hope he wins. But yeah, there's a good chance that Damon could wreck shop because it's crazy. Because like Damon's a freak, and I mean that in the best way. Because like when it comes to Star Wars, he is a freak.
Yeah.
Like I remember something he told me once, just like when you want to study Star Wars, you listen to Alex Damon's show and you watch Alex Damon's show. I'm just like, yeah, that tracks. I'm just like, this might not pull well, but hey, I was in there. I was pulling for Ken. I wanted the dude to come out with the win.
Yeah, and Robert, looking back, what are your thoughts?
This is my favorite pre-stinger of the entire spectacular, with Damon doing the force projection, and you guys were there, and Ken tried to take the belt, and I just think that was freaking fantastic. I had a little bit of revisionist history.
Oh yeah, because this was right after Last Jedi, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a year after, about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, whatever. It still was in the consciousness so that you knew that it was like something that was from, and it played with what he was doing, quoting all the Star Wars movies. But I had a little bit of revisionist history. I thought I remember Damon smacking Ken in this match, but it was not like that at all.
No, it was very close.
No, like it all turned again. This all turned on the betting round. It was very close until Damon knew Tivik, and Ken obviously knows Tivik now, but he didn't then. And it was an 8-point game, and Damon tried to go for broke. I thought he was trying to set the knockout, and he just couldn't do it just because he got a little bit tongue-tied. But I give Ken so much credit, especially given what Chance just said about his investment level in it, I guess. But Ken came out to play, and as you're right, Aaron, this should have just been the match at Collision. Should have just been that one. Why not? Who cares? It would have been a lot better.
I'm sure Ken was there.
he was. I'm sure it was available.
Yeah, like I feel very confident in saying Ken was there. So it's like
I heard people who were there the day of the Bruce Green match. It's like people who were in the room were just like, yeah, that was like watching a snuff film getting filmed.
It's like an old war story. That's like, oh God, really? Oh no,
oh Jesus, make it stop.
Yeah, yeah. And then he got to 6 points, and then he lost points. Oh no.
Yeah,
which I screen capped it. Like to me, I don't know if Star Wars is the league for him, but I wish he'd play again because at least he was entertaining. It's the difference in knowledge level is the final question: Lore Santeca versus Old Man Jedi. I love that answer because it's like, yeah, that's everything there on the board.
At that point, it's just like, yeah, this is probably going to last very long. We can just pack. We should start packing it up right now.
Yeah, that's painful. So we'll go ahead and move on to something.
Oh, real quick with that video too. Actually, I don't know if you're gonna say it. At the end of that was the cutscene. The breakup of Team Action was at the end of video 2.
Oh yeah,
that was the infamous tackle through Bibiani's table.
I think it was at the end of video 1. Technically, I think it was at the end of the match. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
We didn't mention the second tackle. I don't know if it's the most infamous or the second most infamous tackle, but it's a famous.
The Roka one's funnier, but
the Roka one's definitely funnier.
Yeah.
The Bateman tackle. I remember watching that tackle and going, okay, so this is what this should look like when you have two guys who are capable of doing it.
Yes.
Like I always said, the Roka one. My favorite thing is because obviously it's all planned. Like we know he wouldn't just tackle, and they're not unreasonable. But my favorite thing about Roka is you can kind of even see it in his movements before it happens. He's trying to prep himself to go down because, I mean, it's fact. He's an older guy. Like, that's probably not fun to just get put to the ground. So kudos to him for doing it, but it's so funny to watch in retrospect of, like, he's going down in a way where it's like he's trying to make the most comfortable fall. And it's like, yeah, so this is why you're not a wrestler.
All right, I don't think he would claim to be one, so that's fine.
But we'll
just knows some of them.
Yeah.
To something a little less painful than the Bruce Green match, but probably the most painful match of the Spectacular, which is that number 1 contenders match. Clark Wolf, fresh off a tournament loss versus Dan Murrell, and this one ends in a TKO for Dan Murrell. Getting his title shot in the live event in New York, something that Chance knows about a little bit. So, Robert, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on this match?
The buildup of this match was, Clark and Dan played in 2016. That was ages ago. Things are different now.
Yeah.
But
no, they're not.
But then things weren't quite so different, were they?
No, they reverted back to 2016, low score TKO.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think Clark probably put in all her effort in studying for the sake of trying to win the team's belt, and this really was on the back burner a bit for her, and she just never she didn't get the luck of the wheel, I don't think, in this one as she had where she was going through the tournament and getting horror every so often. So I think this was just kind of fait accompli that Dan was going to win and get a chance to play in New York, I think is just what this match entails and sums up to.
Yeah, basically. Andy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've all seen, an angry Dan Murrell is a scary Dan Murrell. And, he had just come off that Andrew Guy loss. And I think after that is when he went on his tear, and he did not lose until he lost to Adam Collins. I could be wrong on that.
No, he lost.
No, Yama beat him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he went, he was on a tear. He was wanting that title. So we all know scary Dan Murrell, focused Dan Murrell. Good luck beating him. And when he's on, he's on. And that day he was locked and loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, he knew he wanted that belt back no matter who had it. We'll get to who had it later. Chance, any thoughts on the match before we move on?
No, yeah, I mean, it's a shame that this is how Clark went out in singles. It's the last singles match we ever saw her play.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Ethan match would have been a one to go off on, but I mean, she had no more contended match, so she had to play it. You can clearly tell which one she had more investment in, like you said. But yeah, sucks for losing this way. But what are you gonna do?
It's like the Miracle on Ice, right? We care about the match versus Ethan. That's like the one against the Soviet Union, and the one against Dan is like the one against Finland that we don't talk about anymore.
We don't talk about Finland.
It'd be
Sure.
interesting to know, did they film those matches? So her titles match and her match against Dan, were those filmed same day or separately?
No, everything you saw was filmed that day.
Yeah.
And it was filmed in that order.
Oh.
So at least she got a break.
Oh yeah.
At the very least, she got a tiny break.
Yeah.
So let's get on to the next match then, which was the Inner Geekdom title shot in what was another piece of corruption storyline. The Schmoedown was out of contenders, and so Mike Kalinowski said, I'll play for it again, because he could do that at that time. And so we had Mara Knopic take on Mike Kalinowski for the belt in a win that would go on to be 25-26 in sudden death. And your boy Mike Kalinowski taking that belt. I mean, as the picture says, you were there, Chance. Talk about that moment, man. What was that like?
It was crazy because like the second that question came up, I knew he had it because that's something we went over at some point. But yeah, like that was really like when Mike and I started studying it together, because like I was like sending in questions like all the time, even stuff that I knew jack about. Like because I wasn't really in interview shape at that point either, but I knew how much he wanted that belt. Like he wanted that belt more than anything. So I'm like, okay, fine. I gotta be a good team. I gotta help him get it. And like I was working with him, sending him questions all the time, just constantly just drilling him on these movies he has to watch, and it paid off because I knew Mara was tough. I knew Mara was tough. She was not gonna go down easy. She didn't. And like suddenly, I was literally like I was dipping down. I was hyped. I was hollering. It was a great match. It really was.
It was, and it was a great played match.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, especially now that she's back, I am looking forward to the day those two have to face each other again, simply for the gameplay. Like, what's that? Because, I mean, we saw in the title match, she's clearly stepped up her game. She didn't take 2 years off to take 2 years off. You know, she came back with a force. So, and I believe Mike has a path to the belt, right? Doesn't he? And
He does. Yeah.
He plays the winner of Alex and the Barbarian, and then they play him #1 contenders, I believe.
Yeah, then winner that gets shot the belt.
Oh, okay, all right. Wow, they're snubbing you, man. They're putting other people up there after that tournament.
That's fine. I can take a back. I can take a back seat for now.
Fair enough. But so yeah, Mike goes on, wins that IG belt for the first time. And it's funny now because he's kind of become jokingly notorious for always breaking character. I think this was the first time that he broke character in a way that people were like, yeah, fuck yeah, because all that heel shit drops once he wins, and it's just like, I fucking won, yes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. How do you keep that up after winning something you, as you said, clearly wanted it that badly? Because he'd come close before and just missed it, and now he finally got there. Robert, I'll go to you. What were your thoughts on the match?
You said it, Aaron. It's such a well-played match. I mean, Mara got like, who said it? And she ran it fairly well. I mean, Mike ran, I think, Middle Earth. I think he went 10 of 10.
No, he missed one.
He missed one? Okay.
Yeah.
But he ran it better than I thought he would have at the time, myself.
Right.
So, and then, you know, they did the betting round, and they were even with the speed round, and then they both missed their 5-pointer, which were super hard. And I mean, this match, a lot of it is.
Was that the dummy?
No, that was the first match.
That was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she got like, what are the first 2 words Darth Vader says when he gets?
Oh, yes, master, right?
Yeah, and then I forget what his are, which makes me feel sad that I can't remember what it was. But either way, they were ridiculous. And then this match is really summed up in the stuff that we don't get to see, right? All those cuts from all the things that probably got blowed up that they didn't want to show. That's the most interesting part.
It was the same thing as like the Founding Fathers match we had that year.
Yeah,
the ending of it was not pretty.
No.
Yeah,
and it was very uncomfortable.
I was so curious. I was like, man, I just want to get in and the Zapruder tapes, man. I just want to know what's happening behind the scenes. What's going on there?
I was gonna say, and kudos to everyone involved. In the years since, they have become very open and, when asked, like very transparent about what happened. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a case of both, like, just emotions ran high, and sometimes that's hard to control.
Exactly.
And I mean, Mara said as much, Mike's playing a character as well as trying to be the competitor, and I'm sure she liked the character work about as much as Dan did at the time, so it's not helping anything in that situation. But it's just, it's part of the game, and it's unfortunate that situations like that rise, but it seems like, and again, I don't know either of them, but it seems like in your sense, they've at least been able to put it aside in some way to the point of, professionalism at least, which is good to see. Because I believe they were friends, right, at that point?
They were, yeah, like they were really close, and then that just kind of messed them up. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say. I'm not sure how.
No. That's why I'm trying not to ask. I don't want to say. I'm only saying stuff that I know I've heard for a fact.
Right. So like that kind of put a strain on their relationship, but they have since resolved it, and they're cool now, which is good.
Yeah, which is good. Absolutely. Obviously, I've never played the Schmoedown, but I know what that's like to have something like that blow up a relationship. And as long as you can resolve it and find peace, that's the best thing, because no one wants to see something that's meant for entertainment go that far.
Exactly.
Aaron, can I jump in real quick? Because I just remembered, because it really sums up this whole match and what happens. Mike's 5-pointer was, "War will make corpses of us all," which seems very apt given what happens.
It seems very appropriate. What happens?
Oh, Andy, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts, man?
I think what was special about this match was you had this build-up storyline-wise, and it all kind of fell into place perfectly, where you have this, Mike doing his whole thing with corruption and the tournament and all those little cutscenes with Mara, for it to line up perfectly for them to finally play for the title. Obviously, Mike inserting himself in that, but it was just, and then to have a well-played match like that, and then being someone who's followed Mike all the way from the beginning, and to see him go 2 years later to finally get that title as a fan was really satisfying.
I'm sure.
And like I said, really well played match, and to bring it down to the wire was a little too close for comfort, but he won in the end, so it was good. It was good.
Yeah, sudden death is something that goes in your favor. It seems like twice that year you guys won in sudden death.
Yeah,
you don't crack.
Which is interesting.
Nope.
No. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap this up and get into it. The main event, the big boy of this, John Roca takes on Ethan Irwin for the singles title in a match that ends 20-17 with Ethan Irwin becoming the movie trivia Schmoedown champion, taking the belt from John Roca. I'll go ahead and go to Robert. What are your thoughts on this?
My favorite part about this whole match is Jay coming out and doing the announcing. It makes me want him to do more like commentating stuff, because he's so good on the mic too. And the way he introduces Ethan, it couldn't have gone any other way. I think it was very appropriate for it. Otherwise, the match was a fair match. Yeah. But I think the match that Clark played against Ethan was technically a better match than this one.
Yeah, like it's not a standout match compared to everything else from the Spectacular.
No, I think if we had switched the matches in this video, I think if Mike and Mara's match was like the headliner match, it would make more sense given the results that happened. Obviously, you're not going to know how that's going to happen until it happens. But otherwise, I mean, Ethan just had all the momentum, right? He had that one slip up in one question against an Draco. But other than that, it was, again, sort of a fait accompli that he was going to get the title because he was just playing the best at that time.
Right. And I was going to say, like, even in this match, not as perfect as other matches, but Ethan was pretty on it, all things considered. Definitely more so than Roca was. I mean, really, like, one of the few questions to slip him up was this one right here.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I love this thank you so much.
Which was one of the best natural moments to have. That's one of those, like, there are some questions get put in on purpose. That's one, especially because it was the last question of the speed round. Like, that was something's going to come of this. And it was neither of them wanted to guess it. And who was it? One of them said, like, is he in this room right now, right? Was that Roca who said that?
Yeah, it was Roca. He was like, I don't want to say it because he's in this room. And I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah. Andy, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I think it's like what Robert said. It was a good match. I mean, Ethan had all the momentum on his side. So, I mean, barring Roca being pitch perfect, I don't think it was going to go any other way except Irwin getting that title, and it should have been another match, but that's how the way, you win on one day, you lose on the next. It's luck of the draw with the wheel, the questions, everything.
It was better than the singles title from the year before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Better. Yeah.
Definitely.
It was at least both of them were in it that time.
Yes.
And then Chance, I'll go to you to wrap it up. What were your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly standard. I mean, nothing to write home about, especially compared to like the other matches from the event. But
Right.
it's a good win for Ethan to cap off his rookie season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's a great way because I believe, he's one of very few champs to win it that way. And I've just realized there's been a thing where 3 in a row, Ethan through a whole season, Oyama early on, and then Adam through a tournament. 3 years in a row, someone's run the gambit to get to a singles title, which is rather interesting. Which makes me wonder who does it this year.
We'll see.
We'll find out. And with that is a wrap up on season 5 as the Schmoedown Spectacular ends on a more minute and then somber note with Matt No Cinemaniac dancing his way to retirement. And that is the end of this video. We're a little over time, but this was a fun one. We talked about in the other videos. Season 5 is an interesting conundrum because earlier on in the season, it feels like they're just putting out matches to put out matches. There's not a lot happening. And Korruption was really where the switch happened. And it's like, oh, there's something building here. They finally got it going. And it gave us some of the more entertaining matches of overall. So it's a weird mix. I'm sure it's a season that is in our guest's heart forever as it brought him into the fold. And now you're on 4 seasons with them, right? Coming up on 3 years.
Yeah, the 4th one.
Yeah, which is incredible, right? I mean, to think back like 3-4 years ago when you're playing fan matches with like Doman from your house, and now you're in it on set, live performances, back online again. It's a crazy journey when you think about it.
It's hopefully back in studio soon. Not hopefully, we'll definitely back in studio at some point within the next year or two. But
yeah, that's a good question for you. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer playing online, which is obviously where you started in the fan leagues, or have you gotten more used to that studio feeling?
I really love the studio. I love taping days. I love just going in and playing matches, hanging out. It's just a fun time, just in general. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get back in studio when we finally, we all get vaccinated and things calm down. We can finally, start to be in person again.
Have they had any talks about that?
Huh?
Like preliminary talks about when that might happen?
Yeah, we've talked about. Don't know about this season. I can't confirm anything yet. But yeah, there have been talks about like, okay, we're winding down. Like, can we talk about just getting back into it to start shooting matches again?
Yeah, I think that's a day that most Schmoedown fans are looking forward to. That.
Yeah, we all want to get back in the studio. We all want to get back on the road. We're just excited to finally start doing this in person again.
I think Christian would give an arm and a leg to not record a Schmoedown match from his chair at his home.
Absolutely.
Anything it would take to get back there. But guys, that is the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. First off, Chance, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Once we're done with this, maybe down the road, I'd love to have you back again and get into kind of the rest of your career and really get a chance to talk to you because there's so much more than just this season. You've gone high, you've gone low, and you've got a positive record in singles now, which is really what you were trying.
I got a 500 record in singles. Not positive yet.
Oh, it's not okay. Next one.
Yeah.
Next one. Do you know who you're playing yet?
I haven't gotten confirmation yet. I have possibility, but I haven't gotten any confirmation.
Worth asking. But thank you for coming on, man. I'd love to have you back in the future. But go ahead, man. Plug your endeavors. I know you got the podcast with Russell. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Twitter, Instagram, Chance_91. You said check it out. Notorious by Chance. Our podcast has been doing that for about 3 and a half years now. We love doing the show, and we actually just got our first sponsor, Loved Again Media. Site that helps with distributing Blu-rays and DVDs, all kinds of physical media like that. If you're into records, they have those. You go on to loveagainmedia.com, use code Notorious for 10% off your first order. Not 10%, $10 off your first order. I always screw that up. $10 off your first order if you use code Notorious. Also check out Notorious by Chance on YouTube, where we're doing all sorts of content on there. We're slowly starting to get back into video making. And just check the Schmoedown during the Patreon. A lot of fun stuff coming up.
Absolutely. And underneath me, Mr. Andy Sweet, thank you for coming back, man. I'd love to have you back in the future. Where can people find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Always love to be on. Still kind of getting new all this space. So you can find me on Twitter at AndySweet84. Otherwise, I've done open forum with Justin Square a couple times on the Stereo app, where we kind of pick a topic and just talk about it for about 1 to 2 hours. And on Facebook at Andy Sweet.
And Robert Castner, where can people find you?
I am a shill for TMG, so please keep watching SchmoeTalks. Please keep watching the Supernova Show on Friday with Colton Roberts, although this week will be a different host. You can also find me. I'm making an appearance on the feature presentation with Digesting Cinema with newly minted Schmoedown personality, Christina Vassallo, or Christy V, as you might know her, and Aaron J. I'm working on my own sports podcast that'll be coming out relatively soon. Still working out the kinks for that. Otherwise, fan leagues, I'm like a -10 power to this gentleman up here in terms of my skill, but I still try very hard. And I'm at Robert Castner on Facebook. I like to talk to people. I'm a people person, so please talk to me if you want.
I have to say, before we go, one last question, Chance. How does it feel to have, because it's expanded since you played even more, how does it feel to have the entirety of the fan leagues trying to be the next you?
It's crazy to think just how much of an impact just bringing me in for one match has had over the past couple of years. But it's great. Try as you might to be the next me. I'm not done being me yet. So
there we go. That's exactly the answer you're looking for from Korruption. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, interact with the channel, and check out everything else we have going up. Myself and the channel head, Matt Beer, have been posting trailer reactions and movie reviews as we see them, so check those out. And then we have all our podcast shows that go up every Monday at 7 p.m. EST. We have SchmoeTalks. Every Tuesday afternoon, we have Cancel This Show, our political show with Alan Shepard and Matt Beer. Every Friday, we've been doing our The Falcon and the Winter Soldier reviews. This week, the penultimate episode, 5 of 6, is going up. Next week is the finale, but we'll be here for that and this to review it. Saturday nights at 9 p.m. EST, we have After Dark, which is our kind of hangout show that we do. And as Robert said, on Sundays at noon EST, check out the Supernova Show, where all your geekiest desires are discussed. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on SchmoeTalks.